live. Okay. Well, do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show where we talk about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you would like to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. And I know you didn't get the newsletter because I didn't fill it out. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it was on the agenda. But I'm racing up from Columbus, Ohio, where I spent the balance of the last 36 hours. But had to get here for the show this evening. I'm going to relay a story in a few moments that I experienced at said truck show in Columbus, the Ohio Trucking Association. Nonsense. Anyway, you didn't get the newsletter. That's fine. Here's what's happening because you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up in about 11 minutes from now, he is the owner at one of my favorite barbecue pit and grill manufacturers, a longtime sponsor of this show. Ryan Zboril joins me. We'll be talking about the new product that we teased ever so slightly with Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com last week. Get the ins and outs, see how you can get yours, how you can outfit your friends and neighbors with one as well, because they're going to be jealous bastards when you get one. And then after Ryan, we will go with a recap of Grillfest 2024. Give you some insight, give you some recap, give you some secret stories, tell you what we did after the fact, all that fun stuff. Then we'll move to the second hour, and it is the last Tuesday in September. What does that mean? Not only does it bring a visit from the embedded correspondents, yes, indeed it does. But if you're a fan of the show and you know the ins and outs, the last Tuesday in September in the second hour can only mean one thing. We are ushering in a new class for the 2024 Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. So, as we do each and every year, plus we're adding a whole new human being, that being Matt Osman from the great state of Tennessee. So how it works, and I'll re-explain it in the second hour again before we get going. We have all generated a list. How is one eligible to be in the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame? You have to have been a guest at some point. That's the only qualifications that you need. Ryan could be in the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame this year or next year or whenever, because he's been a guest at least once. We will go around and give our first 5 names. If, by sheer coincidence, all of us agree that all the 5 names that we have nominated are all the same 5, unanimously we have a class just like that. It will never happen like that. It could. So we'll go around. We'll see who gets some votes or who appears twice or 3 times. We'll put it on the list. And then, after we do the initial nominations, we got to go back and forth, arguing, trying to get people to vote our people in. And it has to be unanimous. None of this majority rules nonsense. This is a Hall of Fame, one of the most prestigious Hall of Fames in the live fire industry, if not Halls of Fame in general. So it's got to be unanimous. Everybody has to agree that this person or that person is worthy of going into the Guest Hall of Fame. It could take very little time. If that's the case, we have a full agenda of 100% assurity questions. If it does not take a small amount of time, last year, not only did it not take a small,
Andrew, you are not
take a small amount of time. It took a large amount of time, and because I was almost ill-prepared, as I believe some of the other embedded correspondents were too, we were quickly working through our nominated list. So I have an extensive list of names that I feel are qualified, and I also encouraged the other embedded correspondents to put together an extensive list on their ends as well. So if your first or third or fifth option doesn't get in, now you're not trying to think of names on the fly. We don't want to operate like that. So everybody's been doing extensive research. Doug, of course, one of the most well-researched embedded correspondents of all time. Nobody knows the archives better than our pal John Solberg up in Michigan. Rusty, who knows who he knows anymore? And we'll see what kind of cheese Matt Osmond brings to the table here in the second hour. So that's how the show's laying out. Ryan Zboril from Pits and Spits coming up soon, and then a Grillfest recap. Second hour, a new class for Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. Don't forget you can follow me socially through Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and LinkedIn, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. And, of course, we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can go to Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch through YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show. And, of course, we have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. And I'm asking everybody this: is the Ninja gas and hot air-powered grill going to actually happen in 2025? And currently 58% of you are saying no. I've been showing very leaked, highly classified yet leaked pictures the last few weeks of this Ninja propane gas-powered / turbo air, like an air fryer and gas grill all in one, not separate, but all in one. So do we think that's going to be a thing next year? And currently a small majority think that's not going to happen. Results of the poll from last week. Have you ever heard of the GrillBot? 58% of you ended up saying yes, you have indeed heard of GrillBot. And I continue to maintain, as human men and women, we should never be buying that thing called the GrillBot. If you're looking to waste $100, send me the $100. I can figure out a better way to waste it than putting that GrillBot on your grill, having you forget about it after it shuts off, and then you don't open the hood when you go to fire it up the next time, and now you have a medium well-done GrillBot that is not going to be cleaning your grill anymore. It didn't work the first time around, and 10 years later, it's not going to be any more successful than it was. It is a gimmick. This is a textbook example of what a gimmick is in the barbecue and grilling industry. So we'll start here tonight. And as I had mentioned, I was down in Columbus for an Ohio Trucking Association's annual conference. It's a poorly run event at best. There is no pressure put on any of the attendees to work around those of us that are showcasing or exhibiting. I'm there, obviously, on the Peterbilt side of things, trying to sell some trucks, trying to make some contacts with some of the fleet owners that I would like to get in with. But nobody tells them or makes them get skin in the game, does any kind of speed dating. So we sit out in the hallway, talk to nobody except the other exhibitors. Waste of my time, except for the guy right to the right of me, who I actually worked with a number of years ago at an automatic lubrication company, and it was dynamite catching up with him. Chris Knott, what up? But I saw something happen in real life right in front of me, 4 feet from me as I'm sitting at my table. There's a guy going up to give his keynote speak on how to be a better leader, whatever. This guy, I have to say, a physical specimen. Not overly tall, not overly wide, but very muscular, lean, obviously eating well, working out. This guy's put together. He knows it. Not in a conceited way, but his clothes are definitely showing you what he's made of. He's getting his microphone ready and watching all this. And then right out of the doors in the ballroom comes this lady. And I hear, "Hey, excuse me, I just wanted to let you know. You got one of the best bodies I've ever seen." And he said, "Oh, thanks so much. Ba, ba, ba." This is obviously something he hears on a regular because it was very natural for him to not embarrass the lady, although she said very quickly afterwards as she turned tail and headed back into the conference room, "Oh, I'm just going to leave now. I've totally embarrassed myself." I thought I'd help the guy out. I said, "Hey, pal." I don't know this guy. He said, "Yes." And I said, "Just so you know, nobody ever says that to me, okay?" Nobody ever says that. Nobody. He thought that was funny. He goes in to give his keynote. But this is something, obviously, that this guy hears all the time. And you hear about when people come up to good-looking people and then just compliment them on their aesthetic. But I've never seen that in real life. And here it was transacting 4 feet from me. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy just looks like this. And women are just walking right up to him and telling him what a great... If I was this guy, I'd be walking around without a shirt all day long. Speaking of shirts, this is the shirt. I'll bring you an update here in the second, or maybe after Ryan. We'll talk about the shirt and where we're at with that because we are on limited time with the shirt. So be ready for that and be ready to order quickly. All right, Ryan Zboril is ready to go in the green room. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. Before we do that, we will talk about our pals over at Schwank Grills. So what do we know about Schwank Grills? The obvious, of course. Let me show you some video of this thing in action. It heats up to 1,500 degrees using infrared burner technology. What does that mean to you? You can grill the juiciest steaks you've ever tasted in as little as 3 to 4 minutes, depending on size, thickness, all that fun stuff. No more wasting your life cooking the proteins you want. Schwank Grills does it quickly, does it with great results, used by some of the most high-line steak franchises in the country, to include Morton's, Del Frisco's, Cut 432. Now, this isn't something like or akin to Schwank. This is the Schwank burner technology, except taken out of the commercial kitchen and put in a highly portable size that can fit well into the backyard. Of course, as I had mentioned the last few weeks, we are in the teeth of what is tailgate season. So you don't want to be packing up a huge 900-pound grill in the back of your pickup truck if you can even get it up there. You want something that can move with you. You want something that's adaptable, nimble, can give you some high-quality sear, but can also do something a little lower on the heat. Multiple levels of adjustment so you can increase or decrease the intensity of the heat if you want. But easily fits in the trunk, in the back of your SUV, if you will. Totally safe. Disconnect the propane bottle, take it with you, and away you go. Now you can cook it all up there in the parking lots, depending on whatever it is, high school football, college football, pro football. We have it here in Ohio by the legions on all the levels. So save some money while you're at it as you order your Schwank Grill. You can use promo code BBQ Central at checkout when you go to schwankgrills.com. and save $150 off with promo code BBQ Central. If you're asking how to navigate there, click on the link in the newsletter, in the show notes. You can also go to the main website homepage. There's a Schwank Grills logo on the main page. Click there and get you all over to Schwank Grills website, and then use promo code BBQ Central at checkout for $150 off. We're back with Ryan Zboril from Pits and Spits right after this. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by CookingPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. You visit CookingPellets.com to see their products, and then go to Amazon.com or Walmart.com or Lowe's.com to purchase same great products, even better shipping rates. Good folks over at CookingPellets.com. A lot of you writing in wanting the update on the cheater in college that I talked about a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure if I'll find time in the balance of the show here. We're very busy, but try and get you the update where I can. My first guest tonight manufactures some of the best offset pits, pellet smokers, charcoal grills, and other live fire products available in the market today. And this evening, we are going to talk about the new item that we teased with Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com last week. Ryan Zboril from Pits and Spits joins us here on the show. Ryan, before we get into talking about the new piece, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, which is this. Let me get to the question. The Ninja gas and hot air powered grill will actually happen in 2025, yes or no?
Don't really understand that concept, so I think the answer is no. I think it's I don't know, is the gas creating the hot air? Is it a combo? What is it, right? It sounds really buzzy. It sounds kind of like, let's kind of latch on to some cool words here that we think people will like, and I don't know. I mean, I will say the ninja guys do make a lot of cool stuff, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
The best I can ascertain at the moment, off of the only picture that I've ever seen anywhere circulated on the internet that was sent to me by No Names Please, of course, it appears to be one unit, and within the unit you have both propane gas heat and then hot air convection. So let's call it somehow a mashup of a gas grill and a air fryer to some degree.
It's almost like a pellet, remove the pellet of a pellet grill and put in a burner, I guess. I'm trying to...
Yeah, no smoke, but gas powered.
a gas oven.
And yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I said.
Interesting. And is this for indoor or outdoor use?
Well, I would imagine this would be outdoor use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they aren't they one of the guys that came out with the indoor pellet product?
So
didn't they have one of their own?
I don't know if the one that they came out with is one that you can technically use inside. So GE made the indoor smoker that you can use.
I knew they did.
And then Ninja has a smoker oven. But I don't believe that's being billed as something that you could technically use indoors. I might be wrong on that. I am not the Ninja expert, but everybody that I've ever seen use it is outdoors. Now, maybe that's just because they're influencers in the live fire space and Ninja is trying to get them to press it, but I don't think that's an indoor item.
Maybe it's more tabletop, and I just, in my American arrogance, think that that means it's indoor. Probably.
By the way, we love American arrogance. That's why we're American, goddammit. All right.
That's right.
So
That's right.
We spoke at the end of November last year, and before we talk about this new unit. Where is Pits and Spits sitting as we actually get ready to enter Q4 of 2024?
Man, we were kind of rocking and rolling. So we really retrenched, I think, if you talk to anybody in the industry, and especially on the retail side, I think 23 was still kind of coming off that COVID hangover and everyone was kind of getting back to normal. So we kind of retrenched and kind of got back to basics and just really focused on our core lines and core products. And we're pretty happy with how the year's been going, but we're kind of now getting back to where we're ready to kind of go grow and pushing some new product lines, and then also start talking about maybe some updates and maybe some refreshes on our existing lines. So we're excited. I think we're gonna have a fun finish to this year, and then pretty excited about 25.
You'd briefly mentioned pandemic. So as we have some decent time behind us now, I'm curious from your perspective, how do you view what the pandemic did to the live fire marketplace? Or in other words, what good came out of it and what were the worst things that came out of it?
So I think on the positive side, I think that there is more product category awareness than ever before. And I think that then gives you the opportunity for brand awareness for every brand out there, right? So it's kind of a bigger pool that we're all fishing in and kind of a bigger, pie we're all trying to eat from. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in grill servicing, right? So if you're looking to start a business or a franchise and you want to go service grills for a couple $100 a pop, man, I think that there's going to be a ton of that going on for the next several years. And then I think for a company like ours that, we like to be in a free money environment. We're a lot of people's first grill. But the way this whole thing was designed and the thought, when we launched into pellet grills in 2016, 17 was we expect to be someone's second grill or kind of their, second or third purchase in that product category. And that you like it and that you're now ready to buy for life and kind of buy once, cry once, have it forever, pass it down. So I think for us, that has built a lot of what we'll call kind of addressable market out there, installed base, whatever kind of buzzy, banker words you want to use. So I think that's some of the positive stuff. I think something that's kind of good and bad because it's painful. It's going to create a healthier market across the board for manufacturers, retailers, everybody. Like everyone's got to kind of behave more responsibly, a little more. I think relationships are back in style, right? It's no longer, we don't get the random phone calls from random dealers. Hey, I can't get brand X. I'll take a truckload of yours, right? Like those kind of conversations are not happening anymore, which is probably a good thing because that's unhealthy growth for everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously the come down off of that's obviously can, like I said, be kind of a hangover and sting for a lot of people. I think that the worst part to come out of the pandemic for our sector was kind of probably the personal tolls it took on a lot of people. I think you had a lot of guys that opened stores or got into the business because it was like on such a hockey stick, upward trajectory, and then kind of some dreams and some excitement kind of got burnt on that, right? And so I think some guys have gotten out of the business and headed a different direction. And look, I don't think anyone's lives were ruined, but I think it's just some kind of, a lot of times reality really, really brings you back down to earth, and it's pretty humbling. And look, I mean, like from the manufacturer side, we were blowing and going. We're like, oh, we're geniuses. We're great. Everyone loves us. And then it's like, well, your steel, I know we've talked about this multiple times, your carbon steel is, 3x the price and your stainless steel is 4x the price now. So like, that's great. You're selling way more, but you're making way, way less. Yeah. So a lot of hard lessons learned, but that's why I think that, I think you got to kind of look at it with, if you learn something and survive, then you came out in good shape.
I don't want to turn this into a business call here, but in the trucking industry, we're out of allotment, but there's already been talk as the new 2027 emission engines roll in for calendar year 2027 that we could be back on an allotment for 26, as a lot of fleets would try and pre-buy double, triple the amount of trucks to give themselves time away from the new one when it actually unveils in 27. If you felt like something was returning back to that time of pandemic-ish feelings, instead of getting caught in, hey, we guaranteed this price and we're going to stick to it no matter how much it hurts us as a company, would you be more willing at this point, because of lessons learned, to say, hey, pricing is X, but if market conditions dictate or these things happen, then in order to maintain your order, you're going to be subject to what we called in the trucking industry a surcharge?
Yeah, I think we would absolutely have to do that, and I think that we'd be upfront about it, right, and say like, this is why our $3,000 grill is now $3,500 or $4,000 or whatever. We would be upfront about it, but we would just have to do it, and I think it's kind of a simple economics type deal, right? Like the old graphs. It's just that it moves up on this part of the graph, and like, yeah, you may sell fewer units, but you're going to be still as profitable. And so that's the important part, not necessarily, when I say important, I mean, from keeping your guys employed and keeping the lights on. But I hope Steve's not offended. I kind of took a segment.
I'm not going to tell you what happened like right before we went on air, but there's a reason for that.
No problem. But yeah, I mean, I think we would have to, and I think that people understand, and we never really got much pushback or blowback to the extent like we would have to explain pricing to customers or what was going on in the commodity markets. Everyone was always pretty understanding, so I don't think we would have a ton of pushback. Now, at the same time, I think then the question is, well, what about price protection? Well, our kind of order to delivery cycle, call it, let's say it's a totally exploding market scenario, right? It's like 90 days. It's not going to wash itself out in that time, right? Like, we're not going to be selling it to you where stainless is $4 a pound day one, and then it goes down to $1.75 day 90. Like, that's just not how fast it comes down.
Yeah.
So it would be a truly passed along cost.
We have something new to talk about. If you're not following me on social media, you're not following Pits and Spits on social media, maybe you missed it. Pits and Spits has gotten into the freestanding griddle game. But it's not just a freestanding griddle. Indeed, it's 2-in-1. It's also a freestanding gas grill. I got to tell you, for as long as I've known Pits and Spits, it has never even once... It was mind-bending enough when you said you were getting into the pellet cooker market. Even then, I never thought for 1 second that Pits and Spits would get into the gas grill market, and yet here we are getting ready to enter into Q4 of 2024, and not only is there a gas grill, there's a stainless steel griddle top that can go on it and give you a freestanding griddle experience as well. So give us the whole background and how long it took to get here, and why are we launching now?
So years ago, I mean, 10, 15, 20 years ago, some of the original Pits and Spits owners were doing different iterations of gas grills. I mean, these were basically carbon-bodied, kind of pipe burner gas grills. So nothing fancy. But people love them, man. We have guys still calling that, I bought this 25 years ago for $500. Can you fix it, refurbish it? And it's like, unfortunately, the equipment that's on there now costs $500, but I'm glad it's lasted that long. But we over time, and kind of when I bought the business and we're really pushing to pellets, we really said, look, let's focus. Let's not let's not just kind of spray and pray at all these segments. Let's buckle down into a couple and let's do that well. And then, even last year was really when we started refocusing on our charcoal grills. I mean, that was when we started saying, look, we've got stick burners and pellets now. Now let's do charcoal, and that's gone really well for us. And look, I'll be honest. I have never cooked on a Blackstone. We made griddles for our pellet grills that we really liked. And when my wife was pregnant, she became like pretty sensitive to the smell of the smoke. And so I had to kind of rethink like how often I was running my pellet grill and, what I was smelling like coming upstairs, after we cooked a brisket or whatever. And so I was like, obviously I'd go buy a gas grill, but might as well just make one. Like, I know how to do it. And so we kind of used some of our old designs and then used some stuff we've learned over the years and made one. And we're like, man, this thing is awesome. Like, let's put a griddle top on it. And all of a sudden we were like, wait, we think we are in the griddle business. So went through a few iterations and this is what we came up with. And we really excited about it. As with everything we do, it's pretty heavy duty. So it's about 350 pounds, wow. All stainless. So 12 gauge on the body, on the 12 gauge on the stand, 7 gauge top. So we went with an all stainless top versus, carbon or cast iron, just because we don't want to deal with any rust. And I'm not here to necessarily claim one cooks better than the other, but I'll say that restaurants use stainless.
Yeah,
I think it's because it lasts forever and you can clean it, and you don't have to worry about rust. And it's a product I'm really excited about because I demoed it so much at home and like I really love it. It's so fun to cook on. It's a total. I'm preaching to the choir, I'm sure, for a bunch of listeners, just because they all probably have some form of griddle at home, but it is just it's super fun to cook on. Our lid comes off, so you can do like the Benihana night at home. Smash burgers all the time, steaks. It's really fun to cook on, and that was because of the burners we use. That was when we were thinking, wait a second, like we looked around in the market at what other burners are used and why, and we started thinking, man, like we're putting too much power into this thing. It's like, no, let's just build it to that power and then say it's also a gas grill, because it is. Like, why would you not want both, or why would you feel like you have to have both? So man, that's kind of how we got here.
When I was looking at it originally, I'm like, man, is it going to be a pain in the ass to yank the griddle top off, and then not so much of a pain in the ass to put the grill grates on it, use it as a gas grill. But then I realized we're not talking about taking a chunk of steel off like your Blackstone or whatever Weber uses. These big honking griddle plates. This is stainless steel, so I'm sure it's thick, but it's probably a little less weight for you to maneuver in and out of the grill as you need.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavy. It's heavy, but it has handles on it, right? So like it's meant to be removed. So it's not terribly, cumbersome or a huge pain in the butt to get it off the top. And then your grates, since our grates are sections, you just store underneath down in the bottom where your propane tank goes.
I assume as we look at the picture here, let me go here. These are these vent holes, because one of my concerns,
yes,
or one of the big concerns I hear with putting something over the top of something else is, how is it exhausting? How is it not going to overheat, blow up, warp, what have you? So I assume this is part of the whole process to eliminate that.
100%. And that's one of the things that a lot of times people don't understand with gas, is that it's got to vent both ways, right? So in and out. So it's not just air intake in. If you don't have it, adequately ventilated on the way out, it can suffocate, and obviously we create a dangerous scenario. So that's why we went with like pretty ultra vented.
How long does it get to? I think this is where we want to build it to. Let's take it to market. Like, why are we doing it now?
So this one took about 16 months, so longer than we wanted. And the reason it takes longer than we wanted is because we kind of just work it into production, right? We don't have like an R&D team. Like, it's the same fab guys, right? And I'm kind of hoping one of them's got capacity to, hey, cut this for me. Let's try this. Let's try that. And then it's also kind of, well, what do you do with all this stuff? Is it sits around the shop and you're like, hey, here's kind of prototype A that no one's going to use anymore. What do you do with it? So, it just takes a while. It's not a matter of, getting it tested once it's built. It's a matter of actually getting it built, and just kind of working that into the workflow, because, when you make a portfolio of products the same way every time, and something new pops in, and it's like, it just kind of retraining yourself to think of, wait a second, like, it doesn't have to be in a circle. It could be in a square. So that's really the reason why. I wish it was faster, and we also wanted to do this one in house. We didn't want to outsource this or have someone else do it for us. So we did all this in house and just kind of did it kind of one step at a time. And even like the base, we were going to use square tubing, and I was laying awake at night and just thinking, like, man, like I'd really rather it be a little sexier than that. And then just kind of started thinking about it and was like, wait a second, we want the 8-inch wheels. How could you build a base that would allow for a propane tank to fit? And you just kind of start thinking about what you want and what geometry gets you there. And that's how you end up there.
How many can you build? Like, is it all piece by piece as ordered, or do you allot to build, 7 a week? And
we're gonna we have several in order right now, so we're going to be batch running those. We don't really have a number to answer that question just yet. I mean, it's what we do though is as we hopefully get much busier with this product, and I think people are really excited about it. I think we're in a pretty small part of the market. There's only a couple, maybe one other American-made stainless gas griddle. And I think when you start considering the cart and everything, we're kind of right around the same price point. What we can do to ramp up is we have a couple of guys around town in Houston that we can use to help with some laser cutting, even help with some bending on the front end to kind of relieve some of our process, so we can kind of get a nice workflow going.
if I order one now, what's the lead time?
Let's see. Making sure there's no holidays. You're probably looking at around Halloween right now.
For it to be made,
so
or
that's about a
for it to hit my doorstep?
To ship to you. So about a 5 week, 5 to 6 week lead time.
All right, let's ask the elephant question in the room. $4,000 for a griddle when all we've really ever known are few $100s up to, I don't know what the most expensive commodities brand was. Maybe it was Traeger's or whatever, towards $2,000, something like that. Maybe it wasn't even that much. Maybe it was $1,000. But by and large, they're under $1,000. So to say, hey, 4 times that amount, this is what you're looking at. And I saw a couple questions in the instant chat going, well, what's the difference between a $3,000 pellet smoker and a $700 pellet smoker? Question you probably field all the time from people calling in asking questions. So what's the answer to that?
Yeah, it's going to be the same thing as for like our pellet grills or even our offsets, right? Is that you're buying this today to have 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, right? That's how we build our products, is that this is the last one that you're going to buy. Hopefully you'll buy another one for your other home or for your son-in-law or whomever, or daughter-in-law for that matter. But it's built to last a lifetime and to be handed down. We're not trying to sell it to you now and then resell it to you and sell you another version of it in 3 years. There's also just a quality of materials that go into it, right? Like we're talking heavy gauge stainless, fully welded, ground, polished, just some craftsmanship aspects that go into it as well. And then being made in America, that's just part of it. I think it's, if you feel it and you try and roll this thing around, like you feel the value, you feel the difference. And then finally, it's 2 grills in one, right? Like I said earlier, we're not trying to sell you a $2,000 griddle and a $3,000 gas grill. It's like, no, like we put them together. It helps lower the price. And so now you've got 2 products in one that they're going to last forever. And we hope that you're calling us in 20 years saying like, hey man, it's finally time to replace my burners, or, I would like to replace my valves, or I'm switching from propane to natural gas. But those are the kind of phone calls we want. Not, hey, my griddle top is rusting and now I don't know what to do. I got to spend all weekend trying to get it reseasoned.
This is Ryan Zboril. We're talking from Pits and Spits. Pitsandspits.com is the website, of course, and you can check out the griddle right there on the homepage. Just click on the Shop Now button, and then you can go to the page that we were just looking at here while Ryan was talking and see all the specs, and you can certainly order. Ryan, always appreciate the time and the continued sponsorship of the show, the support, which I certainly appreciate. And this griddle/grill is as sexy as they come, and I can't wait to see the success and people get their hands on it and seeing what they're doing with it. So always appreciate the time.
And, yes, sir. And we are going to be coming out with a 3-burner. And so I'm looking for a short list of testers. I don't know if you know anybody, let me know.
I'll let you know.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, man.
You got it.
I'll see you.
That's Ryan Zboril right there. Pits and Spits. Oh, dear. I mean, I can already feel the emails racing in. I'm a beta tester. I want to be a beta tester. I know. Send them over. I'll evaluate. And if you fit my bill, then I'll usher you over to Ryan and see if you guys can't put something together. All right? Fair enough? Of course. By the way, speaking of Pits and Spits, if you're tired of settling for mediocre grilling experiences, then it's time to step your game up.
Step your game up.
Pits and Spits, offering the best quality pellet cookers, charcoal grills, offset cookers, now the griddle/gas grill combination. By the way, great answer from Ryan talking about cost. Don't forget, this specific one is 2 cookers in 1. Full-blown 4-burner gas grill, and then you can drop the stainless steel griddle top on it, and now it's a griddle. You don't have to have 2 implements. Now you have 1 cooking vessel with an additional thing to go over the top to turn it into something completely different than what it could be otherwise. Was that convoluted? You know what I'm talking about. In the meantime, if you're looking to check out everything that they're offering, go ahead and hit the website, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. And on the charcoal side, if you want to save $150 off any charcoal grill, use promo code Charcoal Central, and you can save $150 off any charcoal grill. That's promo code Charcoal Central. If you're in the mood or you're in the market for a higher-end gas griddle/grill, how about 304 stainless construction, built-in flamethrower ignition, 11-gauge 304 stainless fabricated burners, 80,000 BTU output, the list goes on. 8-inch wheels. That thing's going to move like a dream. All right. I think I know what Ryan was asking. All right, Ryan, I'll take one. You don't have to beat around the bush. Anyway, head on over to the website, pitsandspits.com. We are back with a Grillfest wrap-up. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Ryan Zboril for joining us last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the new Fireboard Pulse. When you use the Fireboard app, you have total access to all devices anywhere in the world. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. I used my Fireboard 2 tonight when I was cooking steaks. Reverse sear on the Members Mark Pro Series gas grill. and dialed in oven mode, 225, put on the steaks, let them ride up slowly, and I had that a real thin one. I think that's the thermistor. Popped it in the thickest steak there and watched it rise steadily up to 220 or 225, 120 degrees internal. Took them all off, turned all the gas burners up to high, and 5-10 minutes later, once it got to the temperature I was hoping for, finished them off. Super easy, and that fireboard is just a workhorse. I love every second of it. By the way, I did appear on a podcast a couple weeks ago. I've been meaning to put it in my podcast feed as well, just for promotion. But Anthony Lujan, over co-host at the Pitmasters podcast, did a roundtable of sorts on wireless probe thermometers. I was on there. Christy Vanover from Girls Can Grill was on there. And then Anthony and his co-host were also taking part in that roundtable. So if you missed it or you're not a subscriber over the Pitmasters podcast, go check it out. I give you a bunch of my thoughts on the whole thing. Also shocked to find out that all of those panel members, not me, but all of the other panel members, they do not check their thermopens on a regular basis. What are you doing? Trust, but verify. You know? Trust, but verify. For too many stories of thermopens and any manufacturer down the line, all of a sudden something goes awry. Why did I overcook it? Why did I undercook it? Heaven forbid. And then you test it only to find out the thing's out of whack for whatever reason. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. It is a mechanical device. It can get out of kilter from time to time. So I tell people twice a month, boil water if you're at whatever sea level where water boils at 212, or do the ice bath. Fill up a big container full of ice and water and make sure you do it the right way. Stir it around. It should register 32 degrees if it's accurate. And if it's not, at least you know where your inaccuracy range lies. You can either get a new thermometer that's accurate again, or just make sure you're making your adjustments as you're cooking. But check it a couple times a month. Nobody, Anthony, his co-host, Christy Vanover, not checking the accuracy of their thermometers. Christy even said, well, that's why I carry an additional thermopen. I said, Christy, what if that one's wrong too? It could happen. Trust, but verify. This is what I'm trying to leave you with tonight. So this past Saturday, we did it once again. I successfully emceed and steered the Hartville Hardware's Grillfest to victory. All right, maybe that's a little ambitious of me. But I was given the privilege once again of moderating through the live demos. And my favorite part is right at the tail end. Steve McMillan, who joined the show for the first time last week, hyping up the event leading into it this past weekend, allows me the opportunity to announce the category winners on the competition side of thing, and then the overall winner. He certainly doesn't have to do that. He could do it. But I'm grateful that he allows me to do a little Bob Barker with that every year, which I certainly look forward to doing, and giving away some really cool trophies. So this is how it lays out. So show up, me, about an hour north of Hartville, get down there around 8:30 in the morning, do a little hello to some of the competitors. Saw my guy Tough Dan down there looking for 2 wins in a row on the Weber side. Didn't work out for him, but always great to see him down there. Plus, he got a brand new boat earlier in the year, so taking him away from the boat, not an easy thing to do, but his buddy said he needed some help. Tough Dan, a multiple-time winner there on the Weber. I believe he won Big Green Egg one year as well, so very accomplished on that side of things. So I saw him down there. Of course, our pal Aaron Huntelman from Go Big or Go Barbecue, and saw our pal from Buckeye Flavor, Jason Leonard, and saw Gordon Thompson from Engine 2 Barbecue, all local guys or local-ish guys. Buckeye Flavor won it last year and was very excited this year. Traeger comes back in and wins the whole damn thing. And Gordon Thompson from Engine 2 Barbecue wins the whole thing. So I was going to have him on in this segment, but because I was racing back from Columbus and I didn't have near the amount of time that I was going to feel comfortable with getting a microphone to him and then doing a sound check, I said, you know what, let's wait until next week. We'll close it out end of the second hour on that first Tuesday in October, and we'll get the competition recap from him. But this is just a great standalone event experience for me. I get to do something that comes very easy to me, something that I do on a Tuesday night for the last 16, 18 years, whatever it is. And that's me interacting with talent, questioning. So here you have our pal Mike Lang from Another Point Please going up and cooking on the Weber Searwood, doing his recipes. We're doing back and forth. And all I'm doing is listening to Mike work through his protocol of recipe, but then I'm also looking at the crowd's faces. And this is a key time. If you're taking part in a live demo with these professionals, a Mike Lang, a Matt Frampton, who we'll talk about here in a second. Diva Q is there, of course. She's the anchor to this whole thing. If you have this level of talent and you're sitting in the audience and you're being told right up front, hey, don't be afraid to ask questions. This is something that you want to ask all your questions. You got masters up here, so ask away. But people are still very intimidated in public. They don't want to ask a stupid question, or maybe they're afraid of being made fun of down the road, what have you. So I'm basically looking around, and then I'm trying to figure out in my head, what's the questions that these people are thinking that I can go ahead and ask, or toss Mike's way or Matt's way, Diva's way, and have them answer it. So great back and forth with all of them. In fact, it's the first time I ever worked with Matt Frampton, and I was very excited that Matt was doing a whole pizza demonstration. Pizza's been very popular for the last couple of years. So to have who I say is the Pizzaiola de Pizziolis sit in front or stand in front of a crowd of eager to learn pizza people, fans, and answer all the questions. And it happened about just like I thought, that Matt's segment was going to have the most questions because pizza had never been covered before. He had never been a live demonstrator before. So this is a recipe for question and interactive success, and it was. And Matt had a guy up there that was helping him. He was also very knowledgeable in the whole pizza making, so he was answering some questions as well. So great pizza demo, and he was doing them one right after the other. There were samples that were being given out. He made this Goodfellas sandwich, but it was also Luca Brazzi is in my mind. That's wrong. That's not what it was called, but I think it was called the Wise Guy or the Goodfella or something like that. It looked insane. There was a lot of Italian meats on there, some lettuce, some peppadew peppers and banana peppers. Looked great, but it was basically, the bread was two pizzas, or it was one pizza cut in half, and then the sandwich was made in the middle of the one pizza. You stick the other top of the pizza on it. Now you got your sandwich, and he was handing out those. But people were racing to get to the stage to get a sample of that. It looked delicious. And people ask me, well, you must eat really good during the course of the day. And I'm like, no, I don't eat anything during the course of the day. I'm talking, I'm moderating, I'm telling people about sales, I'm keeping things going. I don't eat. I have time to go in and refill my water to make sure I stay hydrated, and then it's on to the next thing. They don't pay me to eat or to carouse. They pay me to keep things going. And then, of course, my pal Mike Lang was up, did a great recipe, talked about the Searwood, great interacting with him. We also talked about how he was on the show Tuesday and doing some hype for this event. Then, of course, Danielle Bennett does not one but two demos. She did a great tri-tip demo, and she also did what was it? I think it was chicken? Yeah, she did a chicken taco recipe, which I had never seen her do before. Usually she does the ribeye steak stack, and she cuts down the center of 10 ribeye steaks, and they're all the same color on the inside because it's reverse sear and all that fun stuff. Danielle is just the consummate professional educator, tells jokes. We have really great repartee between us. She said, I think the highlight of the whole day for me when we were doing demos together is she used the word demure. I've never heard her say demure in my life, and I'm just struck as she's talking about it. She was talking about chopping something up, and she says the word demure, and without thinking, I just hit the mic and I said, Danielle, that is the word I most associate with you, and that is demure. And she started laughing right in the middle of the demo, just a nice little comic relief there, but she's just a pleasure to work with. And then there was the big green egg guy. So Captain Ron, as Steve said last week on the show, that he came down with pneumonia, wasn't going to be able to make it. So they took a guy out of the competition tent. He's, I guess, a fairly locally known big green egg competitor. He does Egg Fest and stuff like that. Not like KCBS stuff or anything. And they said, hey, would you mind coming out of the tent? Instead of competing, would you do a live demo? I don't think he had done a live demonstration and this kind of thing. By all accounts, did a pretty good job. I tried to help him along where I could. There's some things we could work on if he was going to be brought back to do it again. I would assume that if Captain Ron is available, he would be the guy you would want to book on the heels of his success last year. But, you never know. The one thing that I'm pointing out here, and I didn't hear of anybody getting sick, which is great. He did these shotgun shells. So is it manicotti shells? And he stuffed them with sausage, and he wraps them in bacon. It was sausage and hamburger meat. It was a combination of meat in the middle, wraps it in bacon, puts it on the grill, and then you cover it in sauce at some point, and finish it that way. You've seen these shotgun shells. At some point during the cook, he's, stuffing the shells, gloved up, stuffing the shells, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, whatever it was. And then one of his assistants comes through and brings in a pan of cooked shotgun shells. And they pour the barbecue sauce over it. And then he goes in to the shotgun shells and starts mixing the sauce and the shotgun shells together. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm not eating any of those. Probably due to the pressure and not having done it, and for a multitude of reasons that I am affording him full, non-purposeful doing this. Look, this is the point I'm trying to make. Just because you have gloves on doesn't mean you're bulletproof. If you have your gloves in raw meat, you can't put those same glove hands on anything else. Those gloves got to come off, and you got to put new gloves on. So, he's in there mixing the cooked shotgun shells now with hands that were just stuffing raw meat into the shotgun shells as he was showing process. So we don't want to do that. We want to not use... But again, I think people get into the clip, where he's trying not to make mistakes and he's trying to explain process, and it's something he probably just would have done normally, switch out, but it didn't happen. So always be cognizant if you're doing demos to not forget the safety part, the food safety part first, right? Other than that, huge event, a lot of giveaways, a lot of game show stuff. Surprisingly, a lot of people not interested in winning free stuff because I think they're worried that if they answered the question wrong, we're going to make fun of people or not. Meanwhile, they're giving away Weber Q1000 portable grills. It's crazy the prizes that they were giving away. Winery and Rehab made a reappearance. A Cheese or Font made an appearance once more. That's everybody's favorite game. Had a bunch of trivia that I was at. Steve, Kelly, just super great. So great to see everybody. Happy to all the people that stopped by, introduced themselves to me, said they were fans of the show. Very humbling. I am constantly operating under the impression that nobody actually listens to the show. It's just me talking into a microphone for 2 hours. So great to see everybody, and looking forward to seeing everybody at the 11th annual Grillfest a year from now. So there's your recap. Gordon Thompson of Engine 2 Barbecue will be on the show next week to talk about the contest results. All right, we're a little late here. Let me do this quick read for Primo Grills, and then we'll get caught up there in the second hour as we're getting ready for Barbecue Halls of Fame, or Barbecue Central Show Guests Hall of Fame, I should say. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they are fuel efficient, of course. We love that you can reach low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We also love the ability to do high temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But you really can't do two-zone cooking because, of course, you have a round ceramic cooker. Well, not with Primo. They have a game-changing oval design. You can execute that two-zone setup that you desire, and it gives you other ceramic grill benefits as well. Best ceramics in the biz, patented technology, true two-zone cooking capabilities, multiple sizes of ovals, and only sold through dealers. So go to primogrill.com, find the dealer near you, visit them, touch them in person. Who's ready for a Primo? You're ready for a Primo, I know it. All right, we're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. Now we'll get an update on that. All right, let's quickly head out of here for the second hour. We'll catch up on the YouTube poll, and then we'll load in for the 2024 Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.